It's Wednesday. It's 8:42. It's time for EoP. I'm Freddie Burns.
And I'm Joey Sheeran.
Big Al has the night off. Happy birthday to his wife, Dawn. Have
He's such a slacker.
Yeah, what a slacker. But Dawn deserves her night, I guess. You better be doing something nice for her, Al. I hope he's not just like sitting on the couch, let's watch a movie, take the night off. Unless, of course, that's what she wants, I guess. But happy birthday to her. We have a jam-packed night for you tonight. Jason Kelce retires. Free agent.
Whoa, wait, what?
Yeah, you didn't hear about
Jason Kelce? No. I must be under that rock.
We'll get our reactions and our thoughts on Jason Kelce. We will dive into Eagles, our top 5 potential free agents for the Eagles. This time next week, free agency will be fully underway. It officially starts 4 p.m. next Wednesday. Phillies extend Zach Wheeler. We'll get into that. Some of the training camp stats. Clearwater. Spring training stats and some standouts. The Flyers make a trade today. They trade Sean Walker, get a first rounder in return, reacting to that. And the Sixers, I don't know, Joe, are they winning now? Somehow are winning with this bad roster.
At the half, they're up. They're up by about 8, I believe.
But
I don't know how.
They were up at some point last night too, and then blew that. So a terrible roster for the Sixers. We'll get into that as well. But first, it's over. Goodbye to Jason Kelce. Joe, we kind of were ready for it, but I guess your initial reaction, and then just talk about Kelce in general and his impact he had for you as a fan.
I literally said this to my wife. I said there is the speculation of it coming. There's the knowing that it's coming. And then there's it actually being here. And him saying the words that he is retiring from the game of football. And regardless of the months, the weeks, whatever we had to let this settle in, knowing that it was coming, or at least probably coming, it still hurt. It was still a gut punch, man. Like you see the Twitter post from him, the no keg announcement this time, having a press conference today. Then shortly after that came out, 1 p.m. was the time. It just had that feel. Why would he be holding a press conference if he was coming back for, a farewell tour, if you say, one last season, swan song? You just knew that it was coming. And then you see him come out, take the stage, and the first 5 minutes or so, he is choked up. He's crying. He can't even get the start of the speech out. And as a grown-ass man, I can sit here and tell you that the waterworks started for me a little bit too, because the guy is so much more than the center for the Philadelphia Eagles for the past 13 years. This guy is a role model off the field. He's everything you want him to be. Like how people say, like, never meet your heroes. Well, this is a guy you can meet, and he will live up to every expectation that you have put him up on, on this pedestal. And it's a sad thing because first off, there is a business aspect to it. The Eagles now have to figure out what to do with the center position. You would think that it's just clear as day. Slide Cam Jurgens in, get a new guard, which we'll get into later. But, on the other side of it is you look at his career and everything that he has done. You hear all the stories. You heard a story from the longtime trainer, Joe O, earlier, who was battling brain cancer, and just what Jason Kelce has done for him. Outside the field, like he's doing all these things that it's not in the spotlight. He doesn't have to do these things, but he's doing them, and he's doing them because he's a great person. And then there comes, the guy that's on the field, the leader of this team, the locker room guy. And it's a hard pill to swallow that Jason Kelce, for the first time in 13 years, is not going to be, storming that field on Sundays, Mondays, or Thursdays. I mean, it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird, I'm sure, for the players when it comes to OTAs and training camp, because they're expecting, or at least used to, this larger-than-life figure coming out, for that practice field every day. And, but congrats to him, because he has been a warrior on the field and a stand-up, fantastic person off the field. And now it's time for him to make that next chapter in his life with his family or his, analyst career, whatever it may be. I mean, I wish him good luck. I love him. I got to say, he's probably my favorite Eagle of all time. And it's just, it's hard to accept, but you have to accept it. And, if I ever get to meet him, I'm giving him a hug.
And hopefully asking him for a beer or a drink.
Well, of course. Of course. But, that's number two. Can we chug a beer, please?
But, Jason Kelce had an amazing career. And the way it kind of went, it's a microcosm of life. You're a late round pick. You almost don't make the draft. You have a little bit of struggles in college. You get on a team, you earn your keep. You're the starter for some years. Play okay, play good, but then you're almost on the cusp of this fan base team wanting him out of here. Like I remember me wanting him. I had enough. He couldn't pull. I remember in Dallas distinctly him missing a block and being like, dude, we need to upgrade the center position. I wanted Marquise Pouncey. And like his just grit, his determination to just keep fighting, get better. It's just an example for everyone to look at. And to your point, him off the field, I mean, you can't ask for anything better. He doesn't go around parading this stuff around. Like that stuff about the trainer got leaked. You know what I mean? It's not like he some guys and people do good, nice things, but some people have a way of making sure that they tell that story or making sure someone knows what they did. And Jason Kelce was just not that. And then you go to the speech with the most epic speech we've ever heard. It's kind of like we love players, how they play on the field. And he is probably a Hall of Famer, I would think. And he'll probably be the next
I really think so.
I return to Canton. Last time and only time was Dawkins, will probably be Kelce. But it's the off the field stuff that makes you really fall in love with the guys. Like Brian Dawkins was one of them. You fell in love with him off the field, all the things he did. You see all the discussions he has with people and meeting in the community and stuff like that. So I think the player is one thing, and that makes us like you. But it takes it to a whole new level. And I'm with you. I'm borderline. Is it Doc for me or is it Kelce? And when we say that, we don't mean like greatest Eagle of all time. We just mean fan.
Yeah.
I saw some debates today on Twitter of like naming all these other Eagles. I'm like, no, we're not. Like Reggie White was a better player than Jason Kelce, but like Kelce beloved wise, I think he's up there for me too. Bo Sutton check in. It feels like Jason was here for so much longer than he was. 13 years is pretty long. That is the impact he had on all of us. He is straight up Philly. And you know what? He is Philly. I'm from Delco. So is Joey. He loves Delco, too. He always gives Delco. His wife's obviously from Delco. I love
he lives in Delco.
Yeah. I love that he represents Delco, too. But he definitely represents Philly more than Delco, and he's verbal on that. But I connect with that. I would love to spend 1 second in the same room, just like Joe spent. He's inspired me my whole life. That's pretty cool. I'm not sure if the Phillies go. We're going to get into that, Steve, so stay tuned. We got a lot of Eagles talk first, but we definitely think possibly one of them or maybe someone else. Stoutland has to induct him into the Hall of Fame. And
what? He's saying when it comes to Canton, the person who has to induct him is Stoutland. Oh, Bo, that is such a great idea. I'm so mad I didn't think of that.
Yeah, Bo, you're
great
spot
call.
On.
Great call,
Bo. Thank you so much.
To your point of saying about the art museum speech and everything, is Jason Kelce the real life Rocky? I mean, this guy, Rocky's got a statue at the art museum at the bottom of the steps. Like, does Jason Kelce deserve a statue at the art museum himself? Like, he's all heart. Like, if you take the traits out of Rocky and you line him up with Jason Kelce, it's basically the same thing.
I know, you take your lumps and eventually you become a champion. And it's just, you feel it in your heart. It's sentimental, and we're really going to miss him. We're just going to miss him so much. I appreciate everyone checking in and listening right now. Please hit that like button, that subscribe, share it out. We really appreciate the support. Please get the comments coming in. We love putting your comments in and having some banter back and forth. Obviously, right now we're talking about the retirement of Jason Kelce. How do you – and we're going to get into our top free agents for the Eagles, but, without going down that road, I know it's a loss, definitely. It's a significant loss, but how impactful is this going to be next year for the Eagles?
I think it's to the point, and maybe I'm even being a little over dramatic about it, but I look at it as losing Jason Kelce. I'm almost to the point where I'm thinking, are they a contender now? And I understand it's only one player retiring, at least at the moment, but I mean, that is a huge hit to their offensive line. And we already know that they have their woes. We don't exactly know what's going on in the locker room. We know there's rumors. But taking that larger-than-life leader out of the locker room as well, what does this do to the team, not only to team chemistry, but to the actual talent that is now going to be on that offensive line and keeping Jalen Hurts alive, upright?
Yeah, I'm concerned about that. And then I'm also concerned about his IQ. There's a lot of times Jalen has leaned on Jason. And not to say that a young quarterback shouldn't, but it's nice if they could lean on them for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. He only got 4 with them, really, 3 as a starter, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to have to lean on other veteran guys. And in the interior of that offensive line, as it stands now, it's pretty young. Right? So it's going to be definitely going to be missed. And we love Jason Kelce. We love you. Bo's checking in some more. It's a huge impact. Jurgens may be good, but we shall see.
Yeah.
We shall see is correct.
Go ahead. One last thing for me is, everyone has seen our page, from Monday until now, and it's been pretty heavy, Jason Kelce. I'll admit that. And my wife even said to me, she goes he didn't die or anything, right? He just retired. I was like, yes, I completely understand that. I go, but this hits pretty hard. And then it's funny because every time I look at her Instagram or whatever, she's sharing stories of Jason Kelce. I'm like, you can't talk down on me and then, have your own sentimental pieces up on your own social media platforms for it. You got to pick or choose. I even said to her, I said, I almost feel a little silly for how emotional I am over this, but I mean, it's just a huge piece that's now going to be missing from this team.
No doubt, and we will definitely be taking the trip to Canton when that happens. Maybe first bout would be great. That'll be tough though, but we'll definitely take the trip to Canton, and we got the company that we're going to take the trip with when it comes out. But before then, we got some trips for you now. PhillySportsTrips.com. They are going with the Birds takeover to Brazil. Details coming soon. I'm pretty sure you go on the website. The details are up now. There's a huge beach view on the hotel. They showed a glimpse of that. Go to Philly Sports Trips if you want to go book a trip with them. Sooner than that, as early as April. Are you a Union fan? Guess what? The ultimate Nashville trip, April 5th to the 8th, hotel tailgate party, max ticket. Go see the Philadelphia Union. They are back. Oh, that's going to be a great trip in Nashville. Great place to party. Also coming up, Baltimore. Go see the Phillies in Baltimore, Camden Yards. You haven't been there. Maybe you have been there. Beautiful ballpark. Great trip. Go see the Phillies in Baltimore. They also have Boston Fenway coming up in June, Wrigley in July, and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh might be my trip this year, I think. July 19th to the 22nd. Just Philly Sports Trips does it right. Go to PhillySportsTrips.com. Please book a trip today. Man, I'm excited, man. That would be a good segue into Phil's, but we're not going Phil's.
Right. Well, 2 things is, number 1, have you ever been to PNC Park?
No,
in Pittsburgh?
That's why
it's beautiful.
On my list. I've been to
It's beautiful. I've been there, and it is absolutely beautiful. And to now go about that Brazil trip, I don't know if anyone has seen this, but Vince, the president of Philly Sports Trips, was just in Brazil. He was chopping around in a helicopter, taking on the sights. I don't know if he's looking for potential tailgate spots or not, but he was in Brazil just last week, scoping it out and getting everybody ready for it.
Yeah, Vince is the man, and he wants the the best for everyone. And he was a fan just like us, and then he worked
Yeah.
his way, and then he's like, I can make this better. And he makes it top of the line food, drinks, and he tries to make it. It is worth every dollar. Book a trip. Go there right now. Tell him EoP sent you. Now it's time. Free agency is 1 week away. And me and Joe, we're going to start from 5. We're going to go all the way up to 1. Keep in mind there's an NFL draft too, so you may not agree with the needs. We may think we may agree with you on the need, but maybe we think that could be helped out in the draft. So feel free to check in on the comments, disagree with us. We love to go back and forth here. Pat Bernard checking in. What's up, Pat? Thanks for listening. Is it a nude beat thread? That would be the joke. But we'll kick it off first with you, Joe. Let's go with way to throw me off there, Pat. I was like, wait, what did he say? But anyhow, let's kick it off. Your number 5 top free agent.
Top free agent, my number 5 is Jonah Jackson, who was just released from the Detroit Lions. Cool little story about him. He's actually from here. He's from the area. I'm not exactly what part of the area. All I know is that he went to Media Elementary School, which was actually during one of the playoff games. You know how they have like the lineup at the bottom. They say where they're out of. He literally said Media Elementary, so that's pretty cool. Only 27 years old. Of course, now because of Jason Kelce and the potential of Cam Jurgens sliding into center, guard is a huge position. And I do think that they're going to draft somebody, but you're not going to have them go in there day one as your starter. Jack Driscoll is a free agent. Opeta is a free agent. And I don't think that they are ready to throw Tyler Steen in there. So I do think that they're going to draft somebody, but I think they're going to have to get a stopgap. And at only 27, and you could probably get him on a little bit of a cheaper deal. I think Jonah Jackson is a great guy to get.
Love that one, and I love the fit for the need. 6'4", 311 pounds, out of Media, Delco, Pennsylvania. Only in the NFL 4 years. Young, 27, like you said. That's definitely something you're going to have to address. I couldn't agree more. Jonah Jackson. My number 5 guy that I'm going to go to the running back position, and I'm actually going to go with the guy that's here. I think the number 5 for running back, I think it's a huge need, and I think it's DeAndre Swift. And I think you need to get this guy in an offense with Kellen Moore. This is a running back that came to us as one of the best pass-catching backs out of the backfield, and we didn't even use him out of the backfield. But he was as a pass catcher. But we were able to show that he has an ability to run between the tackles and make moves that way. So if Kellen Moore can take this guy and all encompass him into an all full-time back, and I don't think you're going to have to pay that much for him. He's already familiar with the facilities. He wants to be here. You're going to have to make a move. I'm not going in with Kenny Gainwell. I'm just not doing it. So, why go get Saquon Barkley? Why go get any of these other guys, Derrick Henry? Why go sign these guys when you could just bring a guy that's already here and bring back DeAndre Swift, who's on the market? So, thoughts on DeAndre Swift?
Couldn't agree more. Local guy, young guy. We've seen what he can do out of the backfield. When they actually give him enough opportunities to produce. I mean, we saw a couple games where he was up to 150, 175 yards. I mean, unfortunately, when it came to the tush push, he didn't get as many touchdown opportunities, which that could change this year with a shift in the offensive line as well. And of course, we know that he has success, catching the ball out of the backfield. So it's a no-brainer. Yeah, DeAndre Swift all day.
All right, moving into, let me check to see if we got any comments on DeAndre Swift coming in. The Eagles should go after linebacker. We may address that, Mike. We might address linebacker. We will see. All right, coming in at number 4 for Joe. Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Chase Young. And I know some people hearing me say that may be a little surprised because I've talked a lot of S on this guy. But hear me out. First off, he's only 24 years old. He has, some characteristic things people say. He almost got benched for the Super Bowl. At least that was rumored. He's 24 years old. I think his I think he's going to mature as it goes on. And there's such a big question mark when it comes to the defensive line because Fletcher Cox is rumored to retire. We have no idea what's going to happen with Hassan Reddick if he's going to get traded. You can't go into the offseason with just, Josh Sweat and maybe an aging Brandon Graham. Derek Barnett isn't here anymore. So they think they have to do something with the defensive line. The market value right now for Chase Young is about $10.3 million. And you know how creative Howie can get with that. I mean, even if it's for a flyer or for a year and whatever, an option for 2 years, you give him, out of that $10 million, guaranteed $5 and a $4 million salary. I don't know, whatever. He had 7.5 sacks last season, which actually ties his top for career in a season, 7.5. He had 5 with Washington, which you really can't blame him because they were awful anyway. And then he had 2.5 with San Fran. You could say that's been, next to Bosa. So who knows? But Chase Young, I'd take a flyer on him for a year or two because he's young. And of course, you bring him in with this new Vic Fangio defense. And this guy, it could be sky's the limit. I mean, you saw Brandon Graham take 3, 4 years, 5 years to really get his stride. This could be another case of that.
Chase Young is definitely an intriguing name and an exciting player that, it has the ability to be an all-time great, really. The only thing with him, for me, is the plays. He takes off plays, and you've seen it. You catch him in a playoff game, he took off on the play. And I think the 49ers make a trade for this guy, and, if they're not re-signing him, it might be a red flag. But I agree, Joe. It's definitely a position of need, something they have to address. And, if they did make the move, I wouldn't be against it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a name. Coming into my number 4, and I hope people don't think I'm taking the easy way out here. There is a ton of free agent tackles. I'm going D tackle here. So hear me out before I put the name up. The Eagles draft Jordan Davis. He's been struggling. Jalen Carter should be fine. He's borderline rookie of the year. He had his fall offs there with people, some would say conditioning, but I think Jalen Carter should be fine. Jordan Davis was excellent early in the season, but then had a ton of question marks with his conditioning, and Milton Williams looked pretty good. There's a ton of guys out there, Chris Jones, DJ Reader, Sheldon Rankins, all these guys that are, I would say, close to 30 or above, right? So my guy is again, and I hate to be doing a cop-out here, is Fletcher Cox. He's rumored to be retired, but if I'm Howie, you have Brandon Graham coming back now, or at least he wants to come back. So I'm going to assume Howie said he wants to make BG an Eagle for life. I'm going to assume they're going to work that out. Get Fletcher Cox back in here. If we're going to make a move for defensive tackle, pay high money, like typically Eagles make that move when they're like 25, like Javon Hargrave. Get him for 3 years, let them leave when they're 30. I think you get Fletcher Cox back in here for one more year with Vic Fangio. You run it back with Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter in Vic Fangio's, system, and then that's it. That's it for Fletcher Cox. I know he's rumored to retire. I think he already would have retired. I think there's room here where he's going to be the free agent. If you look on like free agent list, other teams are trying to get Fletcher Cox. He almost signed a contract with the Jets, last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And he looked good. He didn't look bad last year. He was one of the only people that showed up in that playoff game as a defensive tackle. Him and Milton Williams are the only two are like, oh, well, at least they came to play. I really think they got to focus on bringing back Fletcher Cox.
Well, I'm not on the same team with that. Yeah, I do think it's time to move on. As you brought up, he almost signed with the Jets. It was a last-ditch effort to get him to sign back here, and he did accept it. He was just on a podcast with, I want to say, Cam Hayward, and he said that he wanted to go play with him. He, put it out there that he would go join the Steelers. So if you want to stay in state and go to another team, hey, be my guest. And I understand that, last year he brought on a little bit a different role for himself. He kind of accepted being the mentor, knowing that it was kind of time to pass the torch. So if he was already accepting that last year, Why would he, kind of come back in that same role this year if that's all he expected to do? And the fact that it's already kind of been leaked that he will retire sometime this offseason, I don't think it's a money thing. I think it's a thing that where he's time to hang it up. But don't get me wrong, it's a huge blow to the defense as well if they're losing another key cog to the Philly family and Fletcher Cox, the way that the offensive side of the ball lost Jason Kelce.
Yeah, and I forgot to say also, the locker room, keeping the veterans in there, like
you
said about Kelce. So that's my guy, Fletcher Cox. Moving on to Joe's number 3 top free agent target for next week. Who do we got?
Number 3 should be no shock here. And first off, this position is absolutely loaded in free agency. And let me just put out there my dream signing for this position, linebacker position, is Patrick Queen. I was enamored with him coming out of the draft. I wanted the Eagles to draft him. I knew that they never would because he's a linebacker and he was going in the first round. If they can somehow, and his market value is $18.4 million. Not a chance Haley signs him. But next best thing is Devin White, free agent out of Tampa Bay. His market value is right around $10.7 million, and he's only 26 years old. You have to bolster this linebacker position. I don't think that they have anybody rostered for the linebacker position right now, except for Nakobe Dean, and he's coming off of an injury. Zach Cunningham is a free agent. Patrick Morrow is a free agent. Wherever you're going to line up Hassan Reddick, depending on Fangio's defensive scheme, he might be gone. So you have to get somebody else in here who can be the quarterback of the defense. And Devin White, young, affordable, it is the perfect match for this Eagles defense.
I like it. I like the linebacker position. I don't know. What did you say the contract might command?
The market value is 10.7. But again, Howie gets creative, and he'll do half of that in guaranteed and half as a salary.
I 100% agree with you. The position needs to be addressed, and they need to realize that this league is changing, and you need good linebackers. You don't need all-star linebackers. Like, I still agree you don't overpay people, but I think that's a solid price to get a veteran linebacker in there. Out of LSU, too. And
White. you're saying veteran linebacker. He's only 26 years old. I mean, that's amazing.
And he must have came in the league 21 because I think he bounced around. He was Falcons or Saints at some point too. But Devin White, I like it. I like the position more than anything, and I can't not agree with that. If they bring in Devin White, everyone's going to be happy with that move.
Yeah.
Moving for me, my number 3, I'm going to go to offensive guard. To your point earlier, I think it's going to be an issue, and I don't know if Tyler Steen's ready, and I don't even fully know if Cam Jurgens is ready to play center either, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go with Robert Hunt. Back in the day, Eagles will spend money on the free agent, offensive lineman. He's from the Miami Dolphins. He's young, 26, going to be 27.4. So whatever, 27 in 4 months. But he's 6'6", 335 pounds. He can start a tackle. He can line up on either side. I really just think he could fit right there. He could do right guard, left guard. He's versatile, which is a huge thing with the Eagles, that they like to have versatile linemen. And his top, like if you want to compare him wise, he's compared to Brandon Brooks, who is the last big free agent signing the Eagles made. I think you make the move for Robert Hunt, lock that position in. If Tyler Steen pans out, he does, then you have a full load there at the position. You can also move Tyler Steen outside the tackle, too, if he doesn't pan out. I know he's a third-round pick, but I'm going to make the move, shore that up, make sure Jalen Hurts is good. Give me Robert Hunt from the Miami Dolphins. All right, moving on to Joe's number 2.
Number 2.
And we are going to the position of
safety. Again, another position where they have nobody. They have Sidney Brown, who is definitely going to miss time because of a late season injury. They just released Kevin Byard. They traded away Terrell Edmonds to get Kevin Byard. Reed Blankenship is the only safety who that they can plug and play right now that is on this roster. But you need help. You need help. And my number 2 free agent signing is Xavier McKinney from the Giants, another guy who I wanted the Eagles to draft. He's out of Alabama. He was a second-round draft pick. This guy can be a blockbuster. This guy can hit. He can tackle. He's physical. He's quick. He's sideline to sideline. And it's going to be costing. It's going to cost a little bit. But if this is, my top free agents, Xavier McKinney for the safety position is top notch.
Can't argue that. Xavier McKinney, I think safety is a huge need of the Eagles, just like you said. I'm not in love with Reed Blankenship. We have no safeties on the roster, to your point, unless you got some hybrids, I guess you could say, that can move into the spot. Safeties, definitely an Xavier McKinney. Why not? Go get Xavier McKinney. I love it.
And here's another thing. Xavier McKinney is labeled as a strong safety. So you can have him line up, closer into the box where the linebackers are, again, depending on Fangio's scheme, but also would help with the linebacker position. With the linebacker position. So this guy he's a jack of all trades pretty much in that secondary.
Good stuff there. I'm moving to my second possible. Hold on, we got a comment coming in. Cameron, the Lakers, New York Giants, Mets. Yeah, thanks for disagree with all your teams, but thanks for checking in. We really appreciate it. Got a comment here. I think my Giants are going to keep Xavier McKinney. You better hope they do. You better hope. Last time you guys got rid of a D-back, I think his name was James Bradbury, and he had an All-Pro and a Pro Bowl year. Now, not so much last year, but the first year at least, and we went to a Super Bowl with them. So I'll welcome Xavier McKinney here. Thanks again for subscribing. We appreciate the support. All right, my number 2 Eagles free agent pickup. I am going to be with you at the linebacker position, and it's going to be a little bit cheaper. It's going to be Josey Jewell from the Denver Broncos. A lot of people are talking about this guy. He's 29 years old. He's not an all-star. He's not an all-pro. He played under Vic Fangio in Denver. He has some special teams abilities too. I think he fits what we lacked last year. He's not going to be an all-pro, but he's going to fill that need and play the linebacker position at an average to above average level every single day. He's got some versatility to him. He can move around. He fits the system perfectly. I think the Eagles are going to go look for him, and you'll probably get him for a pretty good deal, maybe $3-4 million, per year. You could probably get him on a 2-year deal. So then, you can draft behind, see how Nakobe Dean, if he does pan out. I also think this allows you to sign more linebackers because I don't think it's going to take just one. So my guy, number 2 for the Eagles, Josey Jewell.
Yeah, I actually really like this one. I remember back at the trade deadline, I thought this was a guy that the Eagles could possibly bring in. He's a Big Ten guy out of Iowa. I actually really liked him coming out of the draft as well. And I think you're spot on. You don't need the all-pro, the Pro Bowler. You need somebody who can get in there and make the play and who's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. So I really like this one.
Agreed. I like when we like each other's, it's better that way. Moving on, Joe, to number 1, your number 1 Eagles free agent target for next week. Who do we got?
Number 1. And I don't think this should be a surprise to anybody. Jon Runyan Jr. The name might sound familiar to everybody out there because his daddy played. Listen, this kid is still very young as well. He's 26 years old. He's out of Michigan. His bloodline just calls for the offensive line. He started 30 games with the Packers. He's only let up 4 sacks. I think he is somebody. Listen, my thing is again, it's almost very similar with the Jonah Jackson, but I like Jon Runyan a lot more. I think with him under Statlin, I think you're going to turn him into as close as a replica as his father as he can get. And I think he would be a staple and a fan favorite in Philadelphia, not for only the obvious reasons, but because of his play. He's still very young. And I think he could turn into a really, really solid player for this offensive line.
I can't not love it. Nostalgia alone to bring him back, and I think it's definitely a position of need. You know, I probably would go with the guy I went with, but if they bring John Runyon Jr. back here, not back here, but I say that because of his dad, obviously.
Of course.
I misspoke. I don't know how you can't love it, and you fill the need immediately, and then you're good, and then Tyler Steen can learn under him. And you got some options there with Runyon.
And to even coming back to the draft, like I wouldn't say John Runyon Jr. would be a stopgap, but say you're only giving him a 3-year deal, you're still going to have to draft somebody. I mean, they have this kid, what's his name, Zach Zinter, coming out of Michigan as well. He is projected to be a day 2, second round or third round guy. The Eagles have already 2 second-round picks. So, I mean, I do think that they're going to draft somebody and teaming, John Running up with a fellow Michigan guy that can learn under him. I mean, it's a match made as well.
Good stuff. Moving on to my number 1, and I'm going with my also number 1 position need. There's a lot of guys I could have went here. But I go back to 2016 and 2017. The Eagles had a hole at this position, and they went against their typical not care about the safety, and they went and signed Malcolm Jenkins, and they went and signed Rodney McLeod, and I think we spend money at safety. I don't think it's going to be that crazy, but we go get Cameron Curl from the Washington Football. They're Commanders now. Where did I keep forgetting? They're rumored to change it again. But he's an underrated player in the NFL the last few seasons. He can line up anywhere. You can move him all over the place. It fits perfect with Vic Fangio's system. He's 24 years old. His free agent comp, get the theme I'm drawing here, is actually Rodney McLeod. So if you can bring in Cameron Curl, maybe sign another safety as well. I beat around the idea of C.J. Gardner-Johnson as well. I would bring him back if we can mend the fences. I think he's a little bitter about the money. I could pair them two and then have Reed just come in and out. I really think you're going to need a versatile safety that can move up in the box, come in and out. I don't think Reed Blankenship has the speed to do that. So I think the Eagles are going to go free agency. Cameron Curl, perfect fit for Vic Fangio's defense.
Yeah, and just to point it out, safety was my number 2 need for the Eagles, and the number 1 need was guard, and I kind of went into that. Why? Because of Jason Kelce and the question marks there. Just to go a little further on into the safety position, yes, McKinnon is my dream signing, but I mean, if you need a stopgap, I mean, at 28 years old, Jamal Adams was just released. He may have lost a step, but he's another guy you could probably get on a cheaper type of deal, stopgap type. More realistically, I think Darnell Savage from the Packers, who is a free agent. He's another one you can get. That's a more realistic one. I think CJ, like you mentioned, I think is a more realistic. But I wonder if just the bridges have been burned there. If he even answers the phone when Howie calls, but outside of all of that, another one that I would be floored by is a trade for Justin Simmons of the Denver Broncos, because the Denver Broncos are about $20 million over the cap right now. And we already know the $90 million dead money from releasing Russell Wilson. So if they can get in there and maybe trade for Justin Simmons to give Denver some cap relief and some draft compensation, because you know how many picks they lost out because of Russell Wilson. Like, they don't have anything. I think they recouped some from some of their other trades from the past years. But if they can get a trade for Justin Simmons, I mean, that would be fantastic. And one of the positions I didn't put on here is cornerback. And even though I think it's a need, I don't think it's a top need. It's definitely not in the top 5 for me. But if they can somehow go to Denver and trade for Patrick Surtain II, that would be amazing as well.
Yeah, let's a couple other safeties real quick. Kyle Duggar, the Patriots one I love. Antonio Winfield Jr. is the hot name out there.
Duggar just got franchised.
When I did the show a few weeks ago, I said Duggar, and that was a potential thing. So they did franchise him, so that's out.
Yep.
Julian Blackmon, Gene Stone. But let's talk about that, since we got everyone listening in here chiming in. Football quarterback. hold on, Jonathan Cerullo. Yeah, Runyon, man. He's on the Runyon train. Jonathan's
Absolutely.
also on the CJ Gardner train. We're with you there. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it. Please hit that like and subscribe button. We got a ton of shows on our network that happen in every single day. Please check us out. Subscribe, follow us, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You know it. We got it. Or you hear it. We got it. That didn't make any sense at all. Anyhow. But let's talk about real quick the cornerback position. It wasn't a topic tonight, but I think it's an extremely overrated need for the Eagles this year. I think James Bradbury and Darius Slay both have another year in them. And with the signing of Isaiah Rodgers, I mean, they released Avonte Maddox, which is a hurt at nickel, but he's always hurt. So is it really a hurt?
He's barely played.
Plays 4 games a year. Like, what's the point? So, Isaiah Rodgers, I think that's 3 good corners. You have some undrafted free agents. I blame last year more on coaching than I do the actual cornerbacks. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and I literally heard this on WIP today, not to throw them under the bus, and it's not only them. Everybody says it. Oh, well, the Eagles' defense sucks. What exactly, outside of CJ, GJ, what exactly from 2 years ago, the Super Bowl season, and last season, what exactly did they lose on the defensive side of the ball? A coordinator. And then they had the cluster F of the Sean Desai and Matt Patricia stuff in mid-season. So we got everybody. There was almost a mutiny. I know Kevin Byard went and was talking about them, calling their own plays. I mean, there was so much confusion going on with the Eagles defense last season, plus the injuries. You have to think of all the injuries from last season on the defensive side of the ball. Avonte Maddox, Nakobe Dean, Sidney Brown, and those are only 3 off the top of my head. This Eagles defense listen, last year they had Sean Desai because Vic Fangio went to Miami before Jonathan Gannon screwed them in the end. The Eagles finally got their defensive coordinator that they've wanted for years with the absence of Jonathan Gannon going. So it's going to be a completely turned around defense. I think that the cornerback position, like you said, Slay, Bradbury, I think has a bounce back season. Of course, Avonte Maddox is released, but you do have Isaiah Rodgers, who should be reinstated. You have Josh Jobe. I know the jury is still out on Eli Ricks, Keely Ringo, tons of huge young talent. And we heard the press conference from Howie last week, and he said that he has learned and has talked to Nick about letting the younger guys play more. So that, to me, says if Bradbury's having a bad game, Keely Ringo's going in, or an Eli Ricks, or Isaiah Rodgers on the outside opposite Darius Slay. They have so many options and so much youth when it comes to the cornerback position that it is, to your point, extremely overrated as a need.
I saw a tweet, a plethora at corner. Now, would I address it in the draft, possibly in the first round, if there's a guy there? Yes, I would, because I strongly believe you got to draft top corners. I don't know that the undrafted free agents are going to pan out, but let's see this team with some safeties and some linebackers and Vic Fangio before we just cut Bradbury and get rid of Slay after 1 year. Like, I know they're over 30, but like we did just go to the Super Bowl with them, and Bradbury was an All-Pro. Like, can we just calm down? We lost TJ Edwards, Kazir White. We had nothing there. Oh, wow. As we're saying that, Matty B checking in. Well, Edwards, Kazir White, that's one more. Yeah, they're guys we lost, so we would replace them with those. Bobby Wagner, that's a name, Ian. Good name there. Michael Pop, we need a solid linebacker. We did talk about 2.
What's up, Pop?
Devin White and Josie Jewell. So the Eagles definitely, it's going to be exciting. Are you pumped for free agency again?
I am. I absolutely love it. And I love the whole legal tampering and all that other farce. I mean, we know who is being signed 2 or 3 days prior to the market actually opening. So I love all this stuff. I really do.
Speaking of legal tampering, I got the legal guy for you, and that's David R. Cherry, Esquire. He does workers' compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, criminal law. Call David R. Cherry now, 610-565-0300, or go to www.cherryinjurylaw.com. Get him today. I want to stay on football. We're gonna move to the Phillies. I just want to do one more thing that I thought about today. Good.
I got a football point. With everything that was going down Monday with Jason Kelce, and of course the reported rumors of Fletch retiring at some point this offseason, my wife asked me. She said, "Do you think Fletcher Cox will get the same reaction as Jason Kelce?" And I kind of was like, unfortunately, no. I just feel like Fletcher Cox, he's beloved. Don't get me wrong, but he's not that hometown hero type of feel guy. He's not putting himself out there the way that Jason Kelce does. How do you feel about the type of reaction? And does it kind of look bad on the way that everybody is treating Jason Kelce, opposed to how they'll treat somebody else when they retire?
I don't know. You have to think of it like that. Mick, I don't hate to say McNabb because I know he was polarizing, but Doc was the guy there, and we appreciated the other guys on that team, but those years. But Doc was the guy, and the other guys weren't loved as much. You love McNabb for what he did, but there's kind of which I think you're kind of saying that with Fletcher Cox. But then anytime they ask, Fletcher Cox always praises. I think Fletcher Cox hates the media, so he gets snubby with them. And it rubs the way he is off, because there's been other times he's off the record, or not on the record, or off the, post game, and he'll talk about how great it is here and how great the fans are. But Kelce just takes it to an extremely higher other level, like Dawkins did, and that's that. I don't think it's a slight. No,
I think you're so dead on when it comes to how Fletcher feels about the media. I mean, just in the exit interviews at his locker, somebody was saying something about Nick Sirianni getting fired, and he looked at him sideways. He's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You're a clown. Stop talking." It was pretty funny. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I did. It was crazy. That.
Yeah.
That it was a crazy question. I don't agree with those questions. I love when the players snap back at Philadelphia media. Stop starting crap. I hate it. Oh, we have to ask these questions because the fans want to know the answers. No, we don't really care about that stuff. We care about the drama and we feed off it and start talking about it. But I'd much rather think people would rather just not know the drama and think everything's cool and talk football or who we're going to sign. Some drama is good, but even when the T.O. and McNabb stuff were happening, it was funny, but it was dude, our team's done. It's
right.
Falling apart. So, Fletcher Cox, backup quarterback was a position. I'm not saying it's in our top 5 free agents, but that's something we probably have to address here coming in free agency, right?
Yeah, I would think so, especially because Mariota was he? I don't think was he released or was it just his contract was voided? I don't know what the hell the difference is between a contract being voided and being cut.
Was it a 1-year deal and he's just a free agent?
I'm not even positive because it was something I saw through multiple sources. But when I was looking it up, I couldn't find a definitive answer on it, and it wasn't saying that he was released or cut. It just said his contract was voided. So I don't know what the hell that means.
Well, I think he needs to go anyway. When he came in that Giants game, it was he can't even throw. You can't have a quarterback that can't throw. I like Tanner McKee. There's guys out there that might, I don't know, would Tannehill come here and be in a backup role? I think we need to get Jalen, especially with Kelce going, a veteran quarterback with knowledge that has tutelage and can help him through some things. Joe Flacco's a name that just came to mind if he wants to play another year and just
he's already been here though.
I know they traded him. It was a good trade, but I'm saying you just have a backup that he can lean on. Right now, who can Jalen Hurts lean on? It's going to be Kellen Moore. You know what I mean? I just visually, who can he lean on? So I think backup quarterback, something to
factory. What's that?
No, would you say quarterback factory?
Oh no, yeah, quarterback factory. And I know I want to say that they still have Tanner McKee. It's definitely something that they're going to have to address. And I'll be honest with you, off the top of my head, I don't even know who is out there available.
There's I got some up here. Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
Well, we're not going to get Cousins, but that was the first name. Jacoby Brissett's a name. I'll take Jacoby Brissett.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that one.
I like Tyrod Taylor. I feel like he comes in. He's not gonna. He's adequate enough that he can come in and win you a game. But he's 34 years old. Jacoby Brissett fits 31. I'll throw a name at you here that'll cause some drama. Nick Foles.
Yeah, has he officially retired? What's going on with that guy?
I don't see him here. He's not on the free agency list. There is a guy that started in front of him that's out there that we're not going to get, but Carson Wentz out there, Josh Johnson. If it's a guy you're going to bring in, though, I don't want a guy. I want a guy that has veteran experience and can help him. So I think Jacoby Brissett would be my guy. But
I think that's the perfect fit.
Yeah, I agree. Is there any other need that you think the Eagles should address next week in free agency that stands out to you that we haven't covered?
Not so much free agency. I know a third wide receiver is kind of a pressing matter. Quez Watkins, he's not going to be back. And then there's Zacchaeus. There's that guy James Worthy who just ran like a 4.2. I think that they're going to go to the draft for a third wide receiver. And this guy James Worthy, his favorite player is Deshaun Jackson. So that'd be a pretty great fit there. But some teams may look at him as a number 1 or 2 and not a number 3. So he might be going before the Eagles are inclined to draft somebody. I mean, they can. Could they bring back Quez Watkins? Like, is there any hope there at all? Like, I don't think so. But I mean, they do like these guys who they drafted.
Yeah, I think Quez has to go. He's got a lot of chatter on social media for not doing anything. So I think Quez has to go. I do think it has to be addressed. Zacchaeus, maybe. I mean, I don't hate Julio Jones in that role.
That's true too.
He wasn't terrible. He caught some touchdown passes. I don't hate Julio Jones there, but exciting next week. I'm sure we'll have a ton of stuff coming up. Now we're going to move into some Phillies baseball here. But before we go actually into the Phillies, we're going to need some Phillies tickets. And to get those tickets, I got the spot. It is Sherry's Ticket Town. Phillies fans save big, great prices, no hidden fees, sports, concerts, theaters. Go to www.sherrytickets.com. Family owned and operated since 1946. Guess what? We got an EoP code for you. Save 10% off. Type in EoP10. So get this. You're shopping for your tickets. You look at the other sites, and then you see, oh, wow, Sherry's Tickets is the same price, if not cheaper, except when you get to that next screen, the fees don't get added on for $100, $150, and you put in EoP10. What if you got 5 tickets at $100 each? That's $50 on top of it with no fees. No brainer. Go to www.sherrystickets.com today. Spring training vibes, Joe. Just how are you feeling with spring training?
I'm very happy with it. Of course, we all know what happened on Monday with the Zach Wheeler extension. 4 years, a lot of money, 42 average per season. I saw something on Twitter where it said kind of if you take the original contract that Zach signed and then you take the extension, it's 8 years and it kind of equals out to about $30 million per season, which is kind of right where he should be, that sweet spot anyway. Just happy that, with the offseason. I know a lot of people have been thinking that it's lackluster with some non-moves, but I mean, listen, you got your ace for another 3 years tacked on, so now you have him for another 4. You have Aaron Nola, with a fresh contract. You signed the ultimate utility guy and Whit Merrifield, who I'm so excited to watch in the regular season. And then, of course, there is the rumors of a couple other pitchers that can sign, sooner than later. And you have to think that it will be sooner or later because Scott Boras is not going to let these guys go closer into the regular season without a contract. And they have to get out there. They have to start pitching, get some reps in, I guess you can call it, some throws in from the mound, in live ball, spring training. I mean, we know the names: Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery. I posted something the other day where with the extension for Zach Wheeler, they could go a whole different route and go cheaper, but still have that top pitcher, added to the rotation in Trevor Bauer. I'm on the side of Trevor Bauer. I really am. And then, of course, under that, I'd be Montgomery. And I do not think Blake Snell is even a realistic option because of all the draft picks you'll miss, international money, blah, 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 all that. So it's going to come down to it's probably going to be Jordan Montgomery if it's any of them. But even when it just comes to the field, I mean, I'm loving watching baseball again. During work, I need more games on TV. They need every game to be televised. I love watching these guys get back out there, and I mean, we're 3 weeks away from real ball.
March 28th.
I mean, Citizens Bank Park is right around the corner. I can't wait.
My muffler might check it in. Pro tip: use Sherry's tickets for Sunday's game. Yeah, man, go see some Wings action. It's bumping down there. They got the music going. That's a fun time. 3:00 on a Sunday. Check them out. No real stuff going on. It's not like football or baseball is going on yet. That's a perfect for this Sunday. Go check them out. 3 years, $126 million, as you were saying. It's the largest contract extension in sports history.
That's right. I forgot about that.
There's no any opt-in or opt-out, so he's here through 2027. So 2025, so 2028. After the 2027 season, he would be a free agent. And I just got to say, this is the same as going to get a free agent pitcher. Like, This was the move that you need to make with this money. What's it, like 42 annual a year? He's a top pitcher, and now we're locked up with him and Noah. You got Noah cheaper. I just can't stress enough, like you're saying about people thinking that we have a lackluster off season. Like, they just signed Trae Young for a ton of money last year. They just re-signed their big guys. I think this is big, and I think this signing is huge. This solidifies that we are going to be contenders for the next 5 years, because we have young pitchers coming up after this. So as this contract ends and Noah's contract ages, you got Mick, Abel, Painter ready to go, and other guys coming. So I'm really excited about this. It gets rid of the drama, the questions. He doesn't have to deal with it all season like Noah had to deal with it. This is a huge signing. I can't stress it enough. The rumors for Snell and Snell and Montgomery, I kind of lean Snell. I'm basically going with the cheaper one, honestly, whoever ends up being cheaper. And I want a 1-2 year deal. I don't think these guys should have like extreme starter money. Like, I just don't waste the money. I'd roll without them rather than roll with them. I love your Trevor Bauer thing. We brought this thing up months ago, like before free agency started. You brought this up, and people were like ripping because of the accusations against him. He got framed. That's been proved. Like, he's supposedly not a clubhouse guy. I mean, this guy was elite. This clubhouse is pretty good. I think if he's that bad, obviously keep him away. But Trevor Bauer would be very intriguing. And if the Phillies went and signed him, I'm with you.
Just to piggyback off that real quick, I have seen multiple comments about it as well, with him kind of being like a locker room cancer. And the question has always been like, this team is so tight knit with the chemistry and just friendships, not only on the field, but outside of the field. We see pictures of them hanging out all the time with their wives and stuff like that. You almost think like, is it worth bringing in Trevor Bauer, who can ruin some of that chemistry? But in my opinion, like, this guy is going to be so happy and so, fortunate to be back in the majors. I think he's going to be walking on eggshells. I don't think he's going to disrupt anything. If anything, he's going to be kissing ass. He's not going to be, being a cancer as everybody else is saying. So, I mean, to take a flyer for a couple of years, for him saying that he would take league minimum, vet minimum, whatever you want to call it, with incentives, it's a no-brainer.
Nooms for 9, check it in. Oh, he's feeling 2012 Phillies too old. We got some young talent up and coming on this squad. Trey Turner's not that old. I mean, Bryce has got his injuries mount. UCLA expiration date coming for Wheeler. Hope I'm wrong. Hey, you got your opinion. I get it. I appreciate the hope I'm wrong. Because we hope you're wrong too. But yeah, I don't know. You could pitching. You always got that expiration date with pitchers. How do you really know? How do you know? How do you know Verlander's going to pitch into his 40s when he's 30? Like, you really don't know. So it's definitely a concern. I agree, but you can't just constantly sign young pitchers. They're not just like all over the place. It's not like there's one available. And the one from Japan that was available, they spent every effort they could to get him, and he just didn't want to be here. So
yeah, absolutely. And that to me just proves that they are willing to go out and spend the big money. I mean, they offered more money for Yamamoto, who we're talking about. They offered him more money than any other team out there. And when it comes to Zach Wheeler and only getting 3 years, that's because he wanted it. He only wanted a short contract. He wants to be able to, if he can still go out and pitch at 38 at that high level, he wants to go out there and get another max deal.
Which makes it better, actually, because that means he's not going to just rest on his laurels. So, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's good stuff there. Any other spring training stands out? Kingery's doing – I'm looking at the stats here now as I view it. Maybe I can share the screen real quick with these spring training stats. But here we go. Boom. And let's pop that up. Add it to the stage. Scott Kingery coming in. 444 average. 2 homers, 3 RBIs. He is the king of the minors and spring training.
I know.
That's amazing. Alec Bohm batting 556 this spring in 4 games. That's pretty good. Castellanos not looking too well. I know it's spring training. I just kind of like to look at it. 5 games, 13 at bats, 154. Still chasing pitches here, it looks like. 4 strikeouts. Leads the team in strikeouts. Christian Pache, he looks like. What do you think's going to happen with Christian Pache? Did you write a tweet that you saw him being traded before the was that you or what do you?
Nah, it wasn't me.
Good move last year.
Yeah. I mean, you last year. Let's just backtrack. The way he got on the Phillies is because he played fantastic in spring training, but he didn't make the main roster for the Athletics. And Dombrowski, seeing this, he said, "Well, I'll offer you something, and he can come in." And because the Phillies are trying to get younger, and they are trying to figure out what they can do defensively, and Pache is a really good defensive player. He's going to get plenty of time, and I think it's great that he can play left field, and I think it's great that he can play center. And it's the same thing. Like you have to think of, outside of Nick Castellanos, you have Brandon Marsh, Johan Rojas, and Christian Pache, all 3 can play both center and left field. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities against lefties and righties for these guys to get some real everyday playing time. I think all 3 of them are going to be a huge asset to the outfield. And to Rojas, I mean, we saw all the stuff that he was doing in the offseason, trying to get his bat and his swing to become more of a natural flow. And I mean, you just hope that he can carry that into the regular season. It still boggles me that he batted .302 in the regular season. Granted, it was his playing time was shortened in the regular season, but still he hit .302, and then he batted like .017 in the playoffs, which is absolutely disgusting. So, I mean, the verdict is going to be out, but I actually think his defense will keep him on the field, but I also think in situational hitting, he's going to get the hook pretty quick for either. In fact, Merrifield can play left and center and second and third. Like, they have so many guys who they can move around. It's a fantastic problem to have.
I'm not going to belabor it, but yeah, Whit Merrifield, what a signing there. A nice deal there. That just great. And one of the flaws, or not flaws, or the issues Toronto, when they called that Brodsky was saying, is that their one mistake is they played him too much, which is perfect here because we're not going to be able to. He's just going to bounce around. Yep. Rojas, like you were saying, dude, this guy is jacked right now, working his butt off, and he's laid down a few bunts. All we need him to do is at least bunt. I want him to hit 2, contact. My best case scenario for him is Juan Pierre. Do you see it?
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Juan Pierre was unbelievable. Speed all over, get on the base, hit the ball, maybe hit a home run here or there. But if you hit a home run, it's probably a mistake. And just move him around. Just get on contact.
That's it. Around. That 100%. The contact has to be there. And if he's laying down a bunt and legging it out, I mean, more power to him. That's great. We just need him to be at least putting some lumber on the ball. I mean, just something.
Weston Wilson, another young kid, third baseman. He's got 7 strikeouts. He's struggling here so far. It's early, but I like looking at it live here and then talking with people and you about it. But
Phillies, what do you think they're going to do with Kyle Schwarber? Do you think he's going to lead off the season?
Oh, we're not going to. Should we just talked about that for 4 hours? I mean, because that's what every radio station does.
I know.
They don't talk about any of this, like a little bit.
I know.
I don't want to knock everyone, but like when you turn it on and you're like, oh, let's talk Phillies, and then we just listen to it. Like we've argued about it for 3 years now. Like it's probably not going to change, guys. And they went to a World Series and they were a game away from another one. I know it's annoying. I know, but it's kind of worked.
Yeah. When he's putting the ball in the stands, nobody's complaining. But as soon as he has a down game with a couple strikeouts, everyone's screaming, pounding the table. Oh, he shouldn't be a leadoff. And in fact, I think it was like game 2 of spring training, and Trey Turner was in the leadoff spot, and they're like, "Oh, finally, they're putting together a major league lineup." Oh my God, Trey Turner! It's like, guys, calm down.
I can gamble on it now. We got a spot here.
I know.
But speaking of Phillies, I'm going to bring up our whole lineup here. We have an amazing lineup. Everyone that's listening, we appreciate it. Please hit that subscribe button. Hit that like. Earlier today on Philly Press Box, we had Tom McCarthy. Phillies Tom McCarthy was on, and so check out that show, as well as our amazing lineup, which I'm struggling to pull up here, guys. As you can tell, where'd it go? Where did it go? I lost it, Joe.
Real quick, the Sixers suck. The Sixers suck so much. They were up by like 13, and now they're down by 1.
Perfect segue into them, because that's who we're gonna talk about next. But I finally found it. Check out our amazing lineup here at Edge of Philly Sports. We got football talk, smack talk, talking sports with Matty B, party on Broad on Mondays. Look at this every night, guys. Just put it in. If the game's bored, put them on mute. Kelly Greenhour, Birds of the Round Table, Chalk Talk, real deep dive into the NFL there. With some NFL talk, with Chalk Talk. Birds of the Round Table is amazing with the Eagles, as well as the Kelly Green Hour. Clear the Ice is our post-game show for every Flyers game. Get Processed, another post-game Sixers game. They'll be on tonight. Philly Breast Box Radio is on 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, right before us. Edge of Philly Sports Live, which is on me, Al, and Joe. One of us will be on every Wednesday. We kind of cycle it around the best we can. Thursday, Fly It Like an Eagle podcast, the Attacking Third with the Union, Steel Steps, Birds Blast, as well as PM in the AM. Pretty funny show on Sunday. I enjoy that thoroughly. Pat Bernard and Mike Lauro, and all across all the time. Check out EoPsports.com. Please hit that like, subscribe, share us out. We appreciate the support. Speaking of those brutal Sixers, perfect segue. How much is left? This game's still going. It's 9:50. When did it start? 8 o'clock tonight?
Yeah. Oh, I don't even know. Well, no, because it was halftime when we started at 8:30.
Yeah, they must have had a delay or something. But let's talk a little Sixers, because it's a struggle here. It's a concern. The team clearly, Maxi's out now too with the concussion. So they win this big game against the Dallas Mavericks on Sunday, and it's like, oh wow, we're still 10 games at 500. We're playing this weak schedule here. Maybe we can get 4 games up, lose against the big teams, and keep ourselves here in this 4th, 5th, 6th seed area. Now it looks like they lose to the Nets. Now it looks like they may lose to the Grizzlies tonight. Are you concerned that this team could potentially not make the playoffs?
Am I concerned about it? Yeah, absolutely. This is garbage basketball we're watching right now. I said last week on the show that even with Embiid not playing, they should just grant him the league MVP, because you can see the difference he is, the difference maker he is to a team. I mean, it's unbelievable the night and day that the Sixers team is. And yeah, listen, they come out and they play their tails off and they get some good wins, i.e., the Dallas Mavericks the other day. And I do know that there are guys playing their tails off. Kelly Oubre had 27 the other night. Kyle Lowry was out there playing his tail off. I mean, it's so inconsistent. And not only I'm more curious that if they get down to where the play-in is if they even think it's warranted to bring Joel back if he is 100%. Like, are they just so defeated by that point? Are they saying, you know what, we're just not going to risk further injury of Joel, and we're going to, just go out there with what we have and see if somehow we can, make it to the actual playoffs and not the play-in?
I think if they get to the play-in, that they'll play Joel because they think I actually agree with it that this is a contender with Joel Embiid on the roster. If you factor in Buddy Hield and the spacing,
Sure.
then you got because it changes everything. Right now, they can just double Maxey, who's still getting his, and Buddy Hield will be getting wide open looks at that point. Where right now he's not really getting the wide open looks that we would plan on him getting. The concern for me is that this just could get so bad because, here was the window right here. You beat Brooklyn, you win tonight, you give yourself a little buffer. You can lose 4 games, 5 games, and then maybe substantiate yourself, keep yourself there. I don't want to do the play-in because anything can happen. And to your point, you get Embiid back to play one play-in game, you lose. How devastating would that be?
What's the point?
I will say with Embiid, outside of the Boston Celtics, they can beat any team in the East, 2-8. So all they got to kind of do is get in, and I'd prefer them to get in at the 7-6-5. I mean, they could even beat the Celtics. I think they could hang, but I would prefer to get Joel going, ramped up a little bit before we have to face them.
Yeah, I think that's one of the bigger questions if he is ready to go, say a week or 2 before the playoffs start, do you have him come back just to knock some of the rust off, or do you feel comfortable him just resting until the playoffs and then him trying to ramp it up, cold at that time?
I don't think they'll just bring him back. I think he'll be ramping it up before. So he'll get practices in and he'll be playing. He won't just be I think he's going to get cleared late March for basketball activity. So that gives him 2 weeks really to ramp it up. Now, I don't think they said that. I don't think that means he'll be playing late March. I think he'll practice and then maybe get some regular season games in at the end. Is how I think it'll go. That's how they're expecting it to go. And they could reevaluate him and be like,
sure,
no, it's no shot,
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I do think it's definitely a concern that people have to start thinking about. Unless they squeak this one out and win, then it's kind of Maxey should be back through maybe I just did a major overreaction here. But I am concerned because if we get to the play-in, anything can happen. Moving on, one other team left here tonight, and that's your Philadelphia Flyers. And they made a trade today. The Flyers made a trade. But before we talk about that trade, let's thank our final sponsor of the night, and that's Dolan's Bar in Ridley Park, 24 East Sellers Ave, Ridley Park, PA, 19078. Quizzo music, great times, memorabilia giveaway, dolansbar.com, right down there in Delco, right off 95. Great wings, great beer. I feel like there's always an old Philly in there at some point, or Old Eagle. Check out dolansbar.com and check out the actual bar because I'm sure they don't want you just looking at their site. They want you to come in and buy a beer. Flyers talk. So the Flyers make a trade today. They go out and they trade Nick Sealer. Not Nick Sealer. They keep Nick Sealer. They might extend him, actually.
They did. They extended him today. Yeah, 4-year.
Okay. So
4-year extension, 2.2 annual, I believe.
Good deal. So they trade Sean Walker and basically bring back a first-round pick. Sean Walker was a good defenseman here, but you have to – I know they're in the running. They're in the third in the Metro, but they've been struggling. The Penguins and the Devils have been so bad. It's kind of keeping us there. I think you definitely got to make the move. You have to continue the rebuild. Sealer's clearly someone they want to be a part of the rebuild, chemistry-wise. If you're going to get a first-round pick, you got to move on from Walker. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. A little bit of backstory with that is Danny did go out. He did get a first-round pick. It's not for a 2024 draft. It's for the actual 2025 draft. However, it is top 10 protected. And if the Avalanche keep their top 10 pick, the first-round pick slides to a 2026 first-round pick unprotected. So they're either going to have 2 first-round picks in 2024 and 2025, or 2 picks in 2024. At the moment, 1 in 2025 and 2 picks in 2026. So, I mean, not if the Flyers are looking at this as a total rebuild, as long as as well as a retool with trying to contend right now. I mean, if their plan is in the next 3 years, I mean, they have the first round picks to go out there and get some top notch talent. And in fact, they actually have 8 picks in the first 2 rounds of the 2024 and 2025 drafts at this moment.
Walter checking in saying, good night, Sixers. Oh, I didn't see the Sixers part. I thought we got to the Flyers talking. Walt was like, good night, I'm out. But good night, Sixers. Yeah, very, very potentially. But I'm excited for Flyer for the first time, and we've been saying it all year, but we still have a few days left. There still might be a Scott Lawton trade that could happen.
I'm hearing that they might have to go after a backup goalie, which is, kind of a duh.
Yeah, you need 2 goalies in this league anyhow, and let's go get one. So Ursan has someone to spell and not take some L's there. Sandstrom, I think, was all right the one night. They finally waived the heck is his Cal Peterson. So. But it's good to have a plan and finally see this going. And to see, as you can see here, I'm sharing EoP Sports Twitter. If you're a Twitter person, go to EoP Sports. Follow us there. We got all the updates all the time. Joe is the main man behind these updates. They're constantly coming. It's just great stuff. Look at this. What can you more here? He has the initial trade and then follows that right up with the actual trade update. Go to Edge of Philly Sports Facebook or Instagram, YouTube. Please go to our YouTube, ever growing. Ton of good video content on the NFL draft there. Great stuff here. Flyers, everything. I just had to pump that up real quick.
Yeah,
happy
man.
with the trade. I still think the Flyers make the playoffs. I think they sell, even if they trade Lawton. I think they will still make the playoffs this year, and I think it's a youth movement. And not I think, we know it's a youth movement. I'm pretty excited about it. So that's about all we have for tonight. We covered all 4. Anything to add, Joe?
No, not really. I mean, I think we nailed it. Great show without Al.
Great show. Please, again, hit that like, smash that subscribe button. We appreciate the help, the support, and stay tuned, because right up after this is Sixers post game get processed. Hammer them with comments. Tell them what you agree, disagree. Tell them this. Mess with them if you want. Tell them that the Sixers are done. Trade everyone. Stay tuned for them. For Joey Sheeran, I am Freddie Burns. I'm sorry, Joe. I did it wrong. I'm Freddie Burns.
All right. And I'm Joey Sheeran.
We will see you next week, Wednesday.
Hurry back, Al.
8:30 p.m.